right. And welcome back to the AKJ channel. I'm your host, AKJ. Well, actually, this is another episode of Look Who's Talking. So it's your boy, AKJ. So just a quick reminder that I have two cameras going. I'm going live on Facebook as we speak right now, so you might see me look left or right. And I'm also recording my episode, which is in front of me. So be advised about that. So I might be looking this way to look at some questions or look at some of my comments or whoever might say something. I might be looking this way at the same time. So here we go. So this episode is about, it's really more of getting to know who I am as a person and what I've been through and why I have this channel and why I choose to start a podcast and why I called it Look Who's Talking. So we're going to go back to when I first was blessed to be on this earth. And my born name is Adrian Kelly Jr. My dad's name is Adrian Kelly Sr. My mom's name is, she has like different names. Tawana Franklin, that's her maiden name. Then she got married to my father when they was in their 30s. So it was Tawana, then went to Tawana Franklin Kelly. And now she remarried again to Tawana Garrett, whatever his name is. And she's married to this one guy named William. I don't really like him. I'm not too shy to say that, or embarrassed to say that. I don't care for him as an individual or respect him. And I'm sorry to say that, but that's just the way I feel. And so we're gonna be just getting to who I am today and where I used to be back then. So we're gonna get to know me. Starting off with my early years, I was born October 25th, 1991 in St. Louis at Lawrence Jewish Hospital at 9:25. That's crazy. I was born at 10:25 at 9:25 on the dot, actually. And it's crazy. My favorite number is 25. And when I first was born, we used to live in the county. So I'm really considering we used to live in the county in Florissant. And I know exactly where my old house is, and it's out there in Fox Lake. So if you live in Fox Lake, I used to live out there. And so my earlier years, I went to my first school I ever went to was Barrington Elementary, and I actually almost failed the second grade. Believe it or not. They actually, from what I was told from my mom, that she had to go up to Barrington to talk to the principal. And I guess my teacher to try not to hold me back in the second grade. And now that I look back on the second grade, I think that I wasn't really, I wouldn't say I was slow, but that's probably what they labeled me was slow. Actually, I just didn't care about what they was teaching me. And that kind of stuck with me for like the rest of my life, where I just didn't care about what they were teaching me. Like I wanted to learn what I wanted to learn, and not just like have like a set plan. Like you need to learn this, you need to learn this. I'm like, it's cool. I did, after I left that school, I did succeed more in school. But after, when I was in second grade, I wasn't really like too much like focused on school. I was like focused on like friends, and I was best friends with a special needs person. Her name was Katie. I forgot what she had, but she had like, you could probably tell me, on Facebook over here. But she had like a mental, like a physical disability, and she was mental. So like she had like, shin pads when she walked around with, and that was pretty funny. She had shin pads, and she knew it. Like, she knew I was her friend, and she knew that I was one of her good friends that I would hang around with. I went to her house for her birthday, and I met her family. Like we was close friends. I wish I could find a picture of her, like of me and her back when we were younger. Her name was Katie. I don't know if she's still alive or not. I ain't trying to say she's dead, but no, I'm just saying. And then at that time, I was actually fully involved. I was a church boy, to be honest with you. Like I used to always stay in church. My first church home that I actually was like I stuck with was a tribal Judah Christian church, which was we started out in the city on Union. So if you go past Union and West Florissant, and you see I forgot what street that was, but you go by there and you see a little storefront. Right across the street is you see right across the street you see it's another church now. I forgot what it's called, but that was our first church home before we moved to the county, and then we moved to the county to Berkeley. That was for a quick second. I think we go to the hotel. No, we went to Berkeley first, and then we went to the hotel, the airport, Hilton, which was at the airport. And then we moved from the airport to Shackelford. So I was with them for at least a good 12 to 10 years. I was with the tribal Judah. All right. And there, I really had gotten to my craft of I started acting there, doing like church plays and stuff like that. Really at New State Missionary Baptist Church, which I know that's on North Side. And North Side for Union. I think New State was my first church home. I did a play there, and I guess the acting bug bit me because I just started acting since then. I was like 6 years old when I started that, and I just kept acting. So my next play I did was at the Tribe. It was a Christmas play, which is actually on my Facebook page. You go to my personal Facebook page, you'll see that I have. If you look, you gotta search for it, but it's all the way down my page on my videos. You go on down to my videos, you look at it's a young me with a black turtleneck singing. I was actually singing too. I could sing a little bit now. I mean, I say I can sing. I'm a singer, but I can sing just a little bit now. I'm not really. I ain't really no Michael Bublé or no professional singer, but I can hold a tune. If you heard me sing before. So I did a play there at the Tribe where that's where I really bit the bug of me acting, but I never really got deeply into it until I started watching Tyler Perry, watching his plays, watching his, seeing it was on bootleg, but that's when I really started watching him. And then from that moment on, I had started writing like plays in my notebook. I'll write like I'll use like a whole notebook just for a play, which I can't find now because I don't know where they're at. But then as time went on, as I went to school, which is my school at the time was Central Catholic, which is now LaSalle Middle or Elementary or whatever it is. But now it used to be Central Catholic. And I had started, my dad had got me a laptop, and I had started writing in my laptop, like plays and stuff like that. To this day, I have, none of them is out here now, but to this day, I have written 6 overall projects. And I think I wrote like 3 screenplays. Like each of them was like 125 and 150 pages. And I had written around 3 or 4 stage plays. And at those times it was like 2 acts, but now I mostly write like 1 act. And I went on from there. And I got a chance to do an audition for one of my mentors now. Her name is Miss Sherry Wright Gully. And she is one of my mentors, and she did a play called Circle of Influence, which you look on my page, you'll find the what's it called? Like the play poster. And I did that when I was in high school. I reached high school, And well, actually the first time I auditioned for, I didn't get the role. I don't know what happened. I think my monologue was too short, or whatever it may be. But I didn't get the role the first time. So the second time around, I think I was a junior in high school. I got the role, even though it was an understudy, which I didn't mind at the time. It was just, it was cool to be a part of the play. Did the play, and it changed my life as usual. And I wanted to do more acting, but I took a break because I wanted to graduate from school first, from high school, in which the high school I went to at the time was Imagine College Prep Academy. I think that's what they call it. But now it's closed. It's off of Jefferson. Matter of fact, now I think about it, all my schools I've been to are closed. And that's crazy. Central Capital is closed. Imagine is closed. Harris-Stowe was almost closed. So I'm kind of like, was it me? Did I help close all these schools? Was it my fault? But it can't be my fault. One person can't make a school close. I'm not gonna put myself in there like that. So I'm not gonna do that. But yeah, but at that, like, when I get to like the later years of my life, it all ties into like where I am now. Because when I was in high school, I was more quiet. I didn't really talk to anybody for real. I was just mind my own business. And but one thing I did do when I was in high school, I was actually one of the first people to be on student government, which was called the School All-Stars. It was me, Lindsay, Rhodesia, and probably somebody else. Those are the only people I remember as of right now. But it was me, Rhodesia, Lindsay, Brianna. We all was a part of the team, and I think we had to vote amongst ourselves, like see who's going to be the president, vice president. I think I ran for each one positions. I lost all of them except for secretary. So I was the secretary of the All Stars, and so it was a good time. And then I remember when we had went to the name change. Because at first my high school was named Ethel Hesman Lau, and then as the time, like I think my second year, my third year, we had went to Imagine College Prep, which is a whole thing there. So yeah. And when I graduated, I was the first person in my class to invite she was like a local celebrity for real, but she was the anchor woman of News 4, Vicki Newton, to stop by and to do our commencement speaker. And we had graduated at Harris-Stowe, which that's where I was going, in the fall anyway. So now we're moving into the Harris-Stowe years. What can I say about Harris-Stowe? Harris-Stowe I always said that Harris-Stowe was the birthplace of AKJ. I got there in 2010. I got there in the fall of 2010. It was like right. People say that's like the ending of the last generation of the people who came before me. It was like the last generation of Mohicans. I'm gonna say that we were the last of the Mohicans, and we kicked it. And when I first got there, I didn't really I hung out with people I already knew from like my old schools and stuff like that. And I was still a church boy at the time. I was still, wearing. I was still what's the word? I was still lame. I'm just gonna say that I was lame, and I like being lame. I enjoy, being like myself. I enjoy not having to have like a certain expectation of me from other people. I enjoy, like having my own swag. I still do. I enjoy being my own person, and that's where I was after my whole college years at Harris-Stowe. I didn't really get involved until like the second semester of my freshman year because I was trying to find things to do. I was bored. Um, so I had came across this office called Student Activities, which was the office where like all the student leaders, at that time when I came in, the king was Quentin Jackson. The queen was nobody. Well, I know who it was, but she wasn't. She had got kicked out that first semester, and that's when I had came across like and then no, Quentin Jackson was the king, and then I forgot her name. Did somebody know who the queen was with Quentin? Who on Facebook watching right now? If you know, just let me know. I forgot her name. I want to say it's not. It was Amber, because Amber was the next one. Who was right before her? Yeah, but when I was coming in, it was like people like Chris Miller and Dom, and it was Brittany, it was Amber, Ambra, Christopher, the other Chris, Stephanie. Those were all the people who were like Sierra Brownlee and some other people. Those were like the people who were like the people who I wanted to be. They were all a part of the royal court, and we had Eterica Chimes, who was the SCA president at the time. She was a big influence on me too. But it was, and then I met Miss Miranda, Miss Annette, Mr. Gooden, all of them, and then Sean Baker, he was still there. And then I didn't really meet Joe I didn't really talk to Joe until my sophomore year. No, like my sophomore year-ish. Yeah, I didn't really talk to them till then. But when I came in, I didn't really want to go to Harris-Stowe at first. Let's start there. I didn't really want to. When my mom had applied for me, and we had went up to the office, to the admissions office, I remember having the whole attitude because I did not want to. I did not want to go to Harris-Stowe. Period. I didn't want to go to Harris-Stowe at all. When I first moved in, I had the attitude then too. I didn't want to move in. I didn't want to live there. I didn't, much as I go there, I didn't want to live there. I didn't really want to go there. I didn't want to work. I really didn't want to be in college. Period. Like, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I was forced to go there. And when I got there, it literally changed my life to where I am now. And it was Nikisha, who was an RA, and her sister. So it was a lot of people who inspired me to do more. And now I had stumbled into the theater where at the time Ryan Cunningham was rehearsing his play with his cast. It was called Till Karma Do Us Part. Till Karma Do Us Part. And I remember I was walking in the Emerson building, and I was just checking out the place, see what's all there, see what all I can do. And I had walked inside. I had saw Ryan come out the building. I don't know how I met Ryan. Now I think about it. How did I come across Ryan? Because then after that happened, I had came in, met the cast. After I talked to Ryan, I came in, met the cast. I talked to everybody. Which at the time, that's where I met Angie. That's where I met Jeremy. That's why I had met Irvin at the time, Irvin Williams. Even though I saw him before, he used to be a teacher at Imagine College Prep, but he was a freshman teacher, so I was on my way out when he came in. So I didn't really get a chance to talk to him until I got to Harris-Stowe. Now I found out he was Mr. Harris-Stowe and all of that. I was like, whoa, it's a small world. And I had met the cast, and then I ended up being in the play as an understudy for a role for, I think I was a reverend, which I had to, that's another thing. When every play I've done, I either am a drunk, a reverend, or a church boy. Those are the only three characters I played, and until I got to until I started until I did this other play with TLP production where I was a bad guy. I was too amped to be a bad guy. I love being bad guys. Bad guys are the best characters. And so I played the bad guy. I played the Reverend there, and and there I met Miss Brennan and I met Mr. Carr, and I ended. My next play I did was called it was August Wilson's what was it called? August Wilson's Seven Guitars. I played as Red. That's the drunk. He was a drunk. But that was that's one of my other plays, and it was actually my first time being exposed to like a play without singing, without musicals and stuff like that. So I was too amped to play it because I like musicals, but I'm like more for like the acting. I really want to be a part of that, the acting of like a play. I love musicals. Don't get me wrong, but I like to act. I want to act. I want to be. I want to change this to somebody else that I'm not. So it was good. It was cool to play Red because it was different than any other character I ever played, and it was like more. And it was August Wilson, so I learned more about his writings and his writing styles and stuff like that. But at Harris-Stowe, I learned more about like the Black Rep. I had worked with the Black Rep for like 2 years. I was with them, being the stage manager, and then, well, I first started as the light tech. I was a spotlight tech, technical person where I just moved like the light up there and to make sure everybody was like well lit. And then I had moved on from there to, I moved there to concessions where I was selling concessions at the break of like the acts. And then I went from that to being like the house manager where I was make sure everybody was seated and make sure they got what they needed. And then they had let me open the show. Now, when I say I was too amped, like the Black Rep let me open the show, the Black Rep let me open the show. And at that time, rest in peace, but Thelma Cook was there. And you know I had to show my ass. I showed my ass. My little 10 seconds I did on stage, I was like, I made sure I had people laughing. I made sure people remember who I was. I made sure people remember what my name was. And so, yeah, my time at the Black Rep was cool. Like they won't let me do an actual show for real. Like I don't know when the auditions are. Like I would love to be in the Black Rep play, but like I just can't do it for some reason. Yeah. And so as time went on, I went and I ran for Mr. Freshman. I was like, to this day, I am the oldest person to ever win that office to be Mr. Freshman. I was already there like 3 years in running for Mr. Freshman. I'm the oldest Mr. Freshman, period. Like I hold that record. I don't know who else can do it, but I am the oldest Mr. Freshman to ever walk that campus. And probably Mr. Sophomore too on the low. I had won Mr. Freshman 2012, 2013, and the king at the time was KO and Charnice, and my missus was Monique Griffith. I'm not sure what her handle is, but yeah, you can all look her up when you get a chance. Monique Griffith was my queen at the time. We thrashed it like we was the. I think we actually were the oldest ones to hold that position, but we thrived in that position. Like we thrived. I have pictures available on Facebook if y'all want to go back and look at it. Like, pictures are there. And then from there, I went from Mr. Freshman to Mr. Sophomore, and when I was Mr. Freshman in my first year doing the Royal Showdown, which I thought was going to be a flop because I didn't really have that many people auditioning for real, and when the show came, I didn't think people were going to be. I didn't really think it was going to be like packed, but like if you work hard enough on a particular issue or a particular event or whatever you want to do, just keep the faith because when the show had came, And the way I marketed my event was, it just like I had relied on the people who was in the show to sell my show. And so once one day I was when it came, when the show had started, I had came out on stage to look at, see who all came. I was like, like anybody come to my show for real. I had came out, I looked out in the audience, almost the whole entire first floor was filled with people. And I was amazed. I was like, whoa, like I have like almost a full house. No, even though we have a balcony, but like the whole first area was almost filled with just people. And I thought, I was just like, wow, I didn't really think it was on sale. I was only charged like $2 at the door, so it was cheap. It was family friendly. It was fun. And the person who won is a very talented young man. His name at the time, his name was Tank the Machine. I think he may have changed his name now, but he won, and he won half the door money, which is like $250. So that's a lot of money, and we kept the other half. I wasn't really like looking for like the money wise, but I just enjoyed doing the show. So yeah, and then that following year I did it again. Not only did we have the first whole section filled, we had the first floor filled, but we had people in the balcony filling that up. So, and that year, the winners won like $300 something from the competition. So like with me, you'll make some money if you want to get your talent out there. So yeah, that's something that I'll never forget. That I couldn't do it no more because after that year, I tried to keep it going, but I had one as the SGA president, and I won that by a landslide, which I had saw the numbers of my year when I ran for SGA president. I had won. It was like 100 and I had like 125 votes to like the sitting president at the time. He had like 23 votes, and his name was still on the ballot. So man, every election I had did at Harris-Stowe, I won with overwhelming numbers. Like nobody can beat my numbers, period. Even when I was Mr. Sophomore, like my numbers were everybody else had like like maybe like 100 something votes. Like I had like a 200 and something votes on my name, and I was like, I beat everybody else. I beat everybody else in the numbers, and so I took pride in that. And I became SJ president. I had was the first person to be featured on CNN, which I can post the link to that later. I still got it. I am the first person to be on HBCU radio, HBCU Nation Radio, which I can post the link to that. I was featured on HBCU, what's the magazine, HBCU Today magazine. I was featured on HBCU Drive, and everything. My inaugural speech I had did was featured and was featured on HBCU.buzz, which you could still like watch that and like read the article about that on. I can post a link for that too. So yeah, it was an amazing time for me at the time, and my campaign message was mad. I was trying to get people mad. I was trying to get them motivated, assertive, and determined to reach their goals that they had set for themselves, no matter if it was academic-wise or if it was just like life goals. And I made sure that people were mad, and it wasn't about anger. It was more about like the acronym is motivated, determined, motivated, assertive, and determined. That's what I was trying to get people to do. And I believe I had accomplished that position. I believe I accomplished that because I was the first person to have a 21, and I had like 21 people in my cabinet. They all quit. It could have been my fault. I will put that responsibility on me. It was my fault, and it was also their fault, at the same time. But then I had rebuilt my cabinet again to the people I had finished my year out with, which was Taven and Terry, which they both became SGA presidents after me. So like my legacy ran deep in there, still running deep in there, still going deep, still very deep in there. And let's see, still very deep. And I take like proud. I'm very proud of that. Like, you know, I'm the first SJ president to have 2 people from my cabinet become SJ president after I left. I take pride in that, and I'm very happy. At the same time, I actually pledged when I was president. I pledged Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, OSIG chapter, and that was the hardest time of my entire life. So at that time, I was SJ president. I was an RA at the time, and I was pledging while I was going through my process. And you know how you try to keep something quiet, but everybody know what you're doing. Like, everybody know you. So like, I would try like to not look like I was going through my process, but it was literally impossible. Everybody knew who I was. Everybody knew like I didn't look like me. So they knew I was doing something, but they just didn't know what I was doing. And when I came out, like, man, when I came out to the crowd, like, everybody went wild. And to this day, I know that I had the most applause out of all my LBs. I know I do. Even though Fred would say, like, no, it was me. Like, nah, Fred, nah, it was me. It was me, to be honest with you. And so from there, I had, I was SJ president, and I was accused. So like, like, life at that point was just, but I didn't feel like that. And this is where the conversation comes in. I didn't feel like wanted, because at that point, like, life for me had got extremely hard, where people who well, friends and family who, particularly my intermediate family, just thought that I was feeling myself and I was being arrogant, and you know, and I thought I was better than everybody else, and it wasn't that. Like, I didn't feel like I was better than anybody else. Like, that's how you felt about me, and I didn't really try to be disrespectful towards people, but like, people say I changed, which, like, you're supposed to change. You're supposed to evolve as a person. You're supposed to shed your old self and try to become like a better person on a daily basis. So that's what I did, and people just didn't agree with that, which is after after my year was up, and I went back to school for I was trying to graduate, but I still haven't graduated yet. I'm still technically in school. I'm still pursuing my degree, but then we're gonna get into that too. But I had gave up on just everything. I didn't really care about school for real. I didn't really want to go to class. It was just it got to a point where it was just too much. Like, people had wanted way too much from me. Like, I had to be everything for everybody, and I had to go to class. I had stopped going to class. I had stopped giving a fuck, basically. Like, and people knew that. People saw my attitude. Like, it was just like people were pissing me off on a regular basis, especially my fraternity. It's just my chapter brother. They was like consistently pissing me off. Till now, they still piss me off. That's just who they are. That's what they do. They just piss you off. And I was constantly just trying to get away from people. Like, people just kept trying to find me. People just kept trying to talk to me. It was just, I didn't want to talk to nobody. I didn't want to be around nobody. It was just hard. It was hard to be me. It was hard to be me. It was hard to talk to people. It was hard to be everything, and to be everything to everybody. And I got there's other people in here, so excuse me. And it got hard, and it got to a point where I had that summer, actually, I had tried to go to summer school to try to make up everything, try to get myself back on track. And that's when the summer when that's when Mecca died. And I remember that entire day from verbatim where Mac had, my last time seeing Mac, they was gonna go to KCGP, and I was supposed to go with them. Mac, my LB, both my LBs, Fred, his brother, Freddie, Mac, and Dontavius. I was supposed to ride with them to KCGP, but someone was telling me like, no, you shouldn't go, or I think I was doing something. I think I was just being cat. Either way, and Mac had said like, "Hey, can you watch my car?" So like, at that time, I was living on campus behind it. Like, I was in the dorm, so I had told Mac, you know, he can park back there, and I'll watch your car till I get back. And so like it's Sunday roll around, and I'm waiting just to hear. I'm waiting to see that if they came back or not. So I'm waiting. Like it gets dark, you know. Like, you know, I'm like, well, are they gonna come back in the morning time, or are they gonna come back, you know, sometime later? But so I went to sleep, and I kid you not, Monday morning at 7 o'clock on the dot, I heard. I open the door. It's Joe and his Dr. Bernard standing at my door. I'm thinking I'm in trouble because, you know, I always used to do something to get in trouble. So I'm thinking I did something wrong, or I'm about to get kicked out, or, you know, a whole bunch of things that crossed my mind. And they had told me to sit down. I'm like, all right, I'm thinking something serious, something bad and fucking happened. I'm sorry, excuse me. And they said, like, your friends, they had went to Kansas City. I'm like, yeah, you know, they supposed to come back, you know, yesterday, but I don't know what. I haven't heard from them. And she said, you know, Mac. I was like, yeah, he passed away, or he died. I'm like, and my whole face just dropped. Like my whole face dropped. It felt like just like everything just dropped for me, and I can't even begin to tell you how I felt. Like, you know, it was crazy, and it was wild because I just seen him, and I just couldn't believe I was in disbelief like that, like Mac would die. And that fucked me up. That messed me up. I'm sorry, excuse me. That messed me up. And from that day on, I had slipped into a depression for a solid year and a half, where I didn't want to go nowhere. It was even from before then, like I didn't really want to talk to nobody for real. But like after that, I really did not want to talk to nobody. I didn't want to be around nobody. I just wanted to smoke and just get away from people. And that's what I did. All I did was smoke weed, and I didn't go to class. I didn't, because at the time it was summer school. So like once, like I told my teacher, you know, like my brother had passed away. He said, all right, that's fine. Just stop by when you can. I gotta be in that class. So I passed summer school. You know, I showed up that class maybe twice throughout the whole summer, and I passed with a B. But after that, I came back to school, and I flunked. I flunked every class that I had. I didn't pass on one class. I had either F or a D or F. I just didn't care. I really did not care. And I ended up leaving school. I went back home, going back to my mom's house, and I had. That's when she had just got married. She was just married to her husband that she has now, who I do not like. Period. I do not like him. And we was consistently getting into it. Like this dude would consistently bother me. He would consistently like find a way to come bother me. And then like I would see like, you know, him go to church, and like I see like a whole different side of him and my mama. It's just like, it was fake. It was like when I was like, and just like the marriage was just like, this is just my opinion. This is how I felt. Like it just seemed like it wasn't genuine, it wasn't real. And then he, you know, we just didn't get along, and we probably won't get along. Um, period. And so it was one night where I was something that had happened, and me and him got into it real heavily. I was calling him all type of names. I was going in on dude. I ain't gonna lie. I was going in on my mama's husband because at that time, like, I had enough. Like, I was going through too much at the same time. I was still grieving the loss of my LB, and he just he didn't care, and he didn't care about Mac. He didn't care about um, he didn't care that I was grieving like his death. Like, it was crazy. And like, even my mom, she didn't really care. Or she says she does. She says a lot. But like, I have learned from like a long time ago that I have good discernment. I have good judgment of, like, people, if they're genuine or if they really mean what they're saying. And like, I could tell that they just that my mom, who she used to be back then and now, is not the same person. I haven't seen my mom since my birthday of last year, or 2 years ago. I haven't seen her or talked to her, because when I did try to talk to my mom, like, it was a whole thing. He go try to get involved. He'll try to stop me from talking to her. It was everything, and I don't got time for that. I'm not finna, try to keep, crawling up to you, trying to talk to you. I'm not gonna keep doing that. So I left my family completely alone. And once we got into it, he had kicked me out of the house, and I had lived in the dorms for at least a semester. So from like January to like May, I was living in the dorms, and then like after that, I didn't know what I was gonna do. And so I had hit up Joe. I was like, Joe, I don't know what's going on. I can't, I don't know where I'm gonna live at. And for like 2 or 3 days, I had slept in the back of the dorms in one of my friends' cars for about 2 or 3 days, and nobody knew I was back there, except for the person whose car I was in. Nobody knew I was back there. Nobody knew I was living there for like 3 days. And then Joe had came into town. He had lived in Texas. And he said, you can come live with me for a while. And so I had packed everything up. I moved to Texas for like a month and a half. And down in Texas, I met some good people in Texas, and I had a great time in Texas. It was a great time. And I had tried to move back because I thought that what I was meant to do was finish school. So I had tried to come back and graduate. I had moved in with one of my old advisor, Miss Miranda, for a few months, and then I lived with my frat brother. And when it was a whole thing. And then just know that when I left them, was officially like on the streets. So I was but I had a job at the time. I was working at Providence, so I was on the streets, just trying to make it. And I remember my first, like, the day I got kicked out of my frat brother's house. Like, what I did was I went to Harris-Stowe and like late at night, snuck on the shuttle bus and slept there for like two nights. I slept there. They had to know. I had slept there. I had snuck out like around like 6 in the morning. I'll get off the bus and I'll go to like the computer lab, and I'll sit there for a couple of hours. And then this was the recurring thing. I go sleep there. Sometimes I'll go to like when I had no car, I'll go to the airport, and I'll sleep there for a couple of nights. For one night, and then or sometimes I'll just go to work. So that's when most of the time I'm looking for like overnight jobs or most of the overnight jobs. I had 2 overnight jobs. I went there at night. I worked overnight. Then I leave there, and I go to Harris-Stowe to where I sleep. I'll sneak in like the theater. And I sleep there for like a couple of hours, which I really want nothing for real. And I get up and go to work. It got so bad to the point where like I was walking so much that I had boots at the time. Like, I wish I had my boots so I could show y'all. But like the boots that I was wearing at the time that I wore for like 2 weeks straight, that it was so worn out, and my feet were so tired that you can see the blood coming from like from my boot. Like you'll see that it was like a ring of just blood, and you can look inside my boot. It was nothing but blood in there. And I remember looking at that, just like I was just like, damn, nothing but blood. And I had and so I used to have my stuff outside my frat brother's crib. It was outside in the back, so I'll try to come back and change, like, my shoes, stuff like that. So I changed my shoes. Yeah, I remember I couldn't. I remember I worked at Walmart, where I go there overnight. I had two jobs. I worked at Walmart overnight, and I had to work for Provident during the day. So I'll go from Walmart. I leave from Walmart from 7 o'clock in the morning, and then I'll walk from the train station to Harris-Stowe, sleep there for a couple hours, get up, walk back to the Metrolink station, then get off the Metrolink station, walk down to Lexington Elementary, sleep there for like an hour or so, get off from there at 6, go in the teacher's lounge and sleep for like 2 hours, get up, and then go to work again at Walmart. This was recurring. This was recurring for like 2 weeks, where I would just get up and I was so tired. And people who saw me, they knew I was so tired. They knew I was going through so much. And then it got to a point when then I had a friend let me stay in her room for a while, and then sometimes I had money for like a motel. I sleep in a motel, and I know the worst motel I've been in was roach infested. It was roaches everywhere. I didn't stay there that night. I had to leave that one. I couldn't stay there. I went to one across the street. I was in Caseyville too, Caseyville, Illinois. That's where all like the hotels are, And I stayed there for like 6 months. I stayed there, and then the summertime had came around, and I was looking for a job, and I had walked up to the Boys and Girls Club and got a job. Like I walked in, it was like saying like I'm here to apply for a job. It was like, oh, we have a trainers. Go ahead and go and have a seat. You'll be just fine. Mm-hmm. So I went in. I went to their training for like 3. I went to their 3-day training. I did not work there. I was not an employee there. I was just going to their trainings, because they asked me to. So I went to their trainings, and I went to the HR office. Like I said, I hope I know I don't work here. I'm not an employee here. I applied for a job here, but I've been coming to the training. So it was like, so you've been coming to the training, so you don't work here. I'm like, yep. And I got hired on officially, after that conversation. So, and luckily I went to my friend's house, and she let me stay with her for a couple of months, until I got my feet. So and now, and from there I got me a car. Still was homeless. Still was homeless. I was living in my car for like from the beginning of September to November. So October, November. So I lived in my car about 3 months. I lived in my car for like 3 months, Ubering and going out of town and do what I had to do to make money, to live, and try to find me an apartment. Like I couldn't get an apartment because of my credit score. My credit score was terrible at the time, terrible. And every apartment I applied for, I got denied. Every single last one of them I applied for, I got denied. And so I lived in my car for about 3 months. And then November, when my car got repoed, I was on these streets for again. So I was back at square one. And I couldn't. And at that time, I was just like, you know what? I'm just like, I was tired. Like, I was tired. I couldn't. I didn't know what else to do. I didn't know where else to go. I didn't know what else to, I just didn't know. And at that time, I had called one of my other family members and they said, hey, I'm bad in my luck. I'm trying to get, a place to stay. So my cousin had said, come live. I was gonna live with my cousin for like a good 5 months, and from there I got me an apartment, and now I'm here. Now I'm here. I went through all of that, and now I'm here. And now I'm doing my podcast. And this podcast, the reason for this podcast is because I want people who are who've been through what I've been through, and who are know somebody who's been through what I've been through, and for them to have a space where they can share their story, or to find somebody who's just like them, who wants to do good things in the world, and who wants to change the mold of what America is now. That's what I want to do. I want to change the mold of America, like with my writings and with my politics and stuff like that. And that's what I want to do. I want to share what I've been through, so maybe someone who's going through what I went through right now can learn something from me, can learn something I did, and can learn just to know who to talk to, or I just had somebody who understands what you've been through, and don't need nothing, but just want somebody to understand what you go through. And that's, I'm not person. I don't judge nobody. I don't. I'm not really mean to nobody who like on purpose, unless you're just an ass on yourself, or you're just mean, a mean spirited person. That's not who I am. And that's what this podcast is for. I used to be so quiet. I used to never talk. I never used to share my opinion. I never used to, tell you what I'm actually thinking about, because I was so scared. It's like I would lose friends, or I would lose opportunities, or I would lose just anything. I would lose all that, and I didn't want to say anything. So, but now I'm not gonna keep letting that hinder me from being a beacon of light for somebody who might be inspired by something I have said on here, or be inspired by like just who I am as a person. So this is what this podcast is for. It's called Look Who's Talking, because it's me. I'm talking now. I'm giving you my raw opinion, and who I am. And so our next episode, we're going to talk about like politics, we'll talk about hot topics and what's going on in the world. And so just do it. That's basically that's what I'm saying. Just do it. If you have an idea, if you want to start your own show, if you want to be a writer, if you want to be a producer, just start doing it. Stop listening to people and just do it. Because I'm not going to be. My main goal is to not have a 9-to-5 within 2 years. Like, I want to clock in, I want to clock out. I hate that shit. Having a solid job is a problem for me. Like, there is more to life than just a paycheck. There's more in life than just getting up and going to a job every day. A job is a good starting point for people. And some people just want to get up and go to work. That's what they want to do. But for people who don't, this channel to help you to realize your passion and realize what you want to do in life. It's to help you open up your mind and your creative side of you, or your entrepreneurial side, or your writer side, or your whatever side that you got. It's here to help you get past that point. And that's why I'm here to do, just help you to realize your potential and realize what you can do with your life besides a 9-to-5. But anyway, I want to thank you all for listening to my soapbox. This is my life. This is my story. It's a bunch of other things I could talk about, but I'm not, because of the time constraints. I have to get ready to go in a second. So yeah. But thank you all for tuning in. Make sure you all go to YouTube and like and subscribe, and make sure you press that bell for new content. This is a new episode of my podcast called Look Who's Talking. This is episode 3, which was recorded live, and it's recorded live on Facebook, and we're recording for later release. So I want to thank you all for tuning in. Make sure you like this page. Make sure you like my Instagram page, which is AKJsaid. My other one is AKJ Production _. And then for the Look Who's Talking podcast pages, Look Who's Talking _ all together. Look Who's Talking _. Thank you all for tuning in, and I'll see you all next time. Thank you all for tuning in to the AKJ channel. Please like and subscribe by pressing this button right here. If you want to watch more videos, please click on this video right here for the most recent update. Or just click on the video I might post right here. See you all later. Thank you.